Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another film review. Tonight we're looking at another British cult classic horror film. We're looking at The Horrors of the Black Museum. Now this is quite an old film. I believe it's probably the 50s or the 60s, and it stars Michael Gough, and it's a great film. It's a classic sort of detective Hitchcock horror wax museum sort of horror sort of thing, and it's about this there's a killer abound in London, and he's killing women. He's killing 4 women. We don't see the first 2 women get killed, but we see the third one, and she gets a really gory sort of death in the film. She's a pretty young woman, and she gets a present from the postman, and she opens it. It's a pair of binoculars, which is a bit of a strange gift. But then she goes and puts them to her eyes, and she turns the thing, and bang, 2 big pins go straight through her face and in her eyes, and she's dead. And there's blood and gore everywhere on the floor and on the binoculars, so she's dead. She then goes to the police station. Well, her friend who lives with her goes to the police. Oh, she can't because she's dead. Her friend goes to the police station where we meet our detective, and he's sort of like investigating these murders. There's 3 murders here in London in the space of 2 weeks, and they haven't got a clue who it is that's causing these murders. And then we have Mr. Braintree turn up, who's played by Robert Gough, and he runs he's a reporter, I think, like a journalist, and he's there trying to get the lowdown on this murder. And when he's back at his house, we meet him with he's with like this woman, this sort of trying to look like Marilyn Monroe sort of woman. She looks nothing like her, but he's at her place, and she's begging him for money because she's run out of money, and he said no, you just keep spending so much money. So they have a big argument and stuff like that, and she throws him out, and he goes away, and he goes to his house. No, he goes to this antique shop where he meets this old woman there who works there, and he ends up buying this knife, this big sort of blade knife from the antique shop. And he takes it back to his house. That's right. And then we see him and his friend go down to their cellar where they've got this sort of wax museum. Now the police apparently got a museum called the Black Museum, which I think they keep a lot of artifacts from crimes and things like that. And he's replicating it in his own sort of place, but he said mine's better. And we have a look around at these wax sort of museums, and they're all in sort of like ancient sort of torture kind of things, and which reminded me a bit like of the Meal of the Stone Woman, with the sort of museum sort of thing there. The same sort of thing was going on there. We had people in stocks, we had them with head devices on, in Iron Maidens, and all kind of wonderful torture things. And we see all this, and then we jump to a bar and see the most horrendous dancing ever by our blonde Marilyn Monroe knockoff, and she's there getting drunk because she's obviously broken up with her boyfriend, who's Braintree, or was it Bancroft? Oh, what's his name? I think he plays a guy called Bancroft. Yes, Bancroft, that's it. And they've broken up, so she's getting drunk. And then when she's drunk, she leaves the bar and heads sort of home, and gets escorted home by 2 police because they see her and see she's drunk. And she goes into her room and gets changed. And then when she lays in bed, she looks up and he starts screaming. And there's a guy looking down on her with a made-up guillotine, and he lets it go and it cuts her head off. And we see the blood and the aftermath of that. And he sort of gathers up his stuff and runs out the room. and then all the neighbours sort of like see him running out the room because of the noise coming from the room. They heard a scream. So we've seen our killer for the first time, and he runs off. And then our detective turns up at the building and starts asking all the neighbours about what's going on. So what is going on? So we've got this mad killer going around. We've got this Bancroft guy who's making this kind of museum up of old sort of wax works and old weapons. And we've got the police trying to find out who this killer is. And that's the plot of the film. I won't tell you anymore. It's fantastic. It's really cool. It's almost like a real early English sort of giallo film. It does play out a little bit like a sort of giallo film in a way, because it's all these beautiful women being stalked and killed. Our detective's trying to find out who it is, and there's certain people that you think, oh, could it be this person? Could it be this? Although we see our killer, we know he is a part of something. He's not the actual the killer, you know. He's the killer, but he's working for someone, and it sort of unfolds throughout the film. It's a wonderful, wonderful story. The pluses of this edition. This is produced by Cult Classics, the same one with the Night of the Eagles on, the same sort of label, and it's really, really cool. It's a great transfer. Looks amazing, you know. Looks its age, but the colours are vibrant. The blood and the gore is fantastic. That's the girl who gets their eyes sort of like shot through with the binoculars, and it's such a cool film, and it plays out really well. To a good sort of finale. The acting's pretty cool. It's really, really lame and poor, which I love, as you know, and I think it adds an extra sort of charm to the film. Overacted in a lot of places, especially by Michael, who plays Bancroft. He really overacts, and it's full of like wonderful sort of moments and memorable moments, and there's some gore in it, and it's just like, wow. Apparently, this was a Certification X when it came out in the cinema, because on this there is the original trailer, and I watched it and it said Certificate X, and I was just thinking, wow, this was an X certificate, and now it's a Certificate 12. You know, I personally think it should be a 15. I think it should be a 12, but it's such a cool film. Absolutely wonderful time. I love these. I just hope we get some more of these. Now I know the Cult Classics have released some more films like Orca the Whale and things like that, but I'd like some more sort of like classics like this. That seems to have been gone by and by, like Night of the Eagle, which was that witchcraft film, and it was such a cool film. And these films are so good. I just wish that we had more of these come to light. And this Cult Classic range from Studio Canal is really cool. They come with sort of like a limited sort of slipcase, and the Blu-ray features. The extra features, there is a few on there. There's an audio commentary on here, which is pretty interesting. And there's an interview, introduction, and there's an original trailer, and there's lobby cards. And you also get actual lobby cards as well. You got a set of lobby cards. So that's really cool. Just like the other one, a set of lobby cards. So it's a really cool addition, and it's quite cheap. I think this was about £12, guys, like $11.99, and it's a really cool classic detective British horror film, and it's definitely worth checking out. I'm going to score this a great watch and give it an 8 out of 10. Absolutely brilliant. Really, really cool. Really chuffed with it, and I'm so glad I picked it up. Horrors of the Black Museum, 8 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below what you think of it. It is a really it is a cult classic. These are called cult classics for a reason, because they are really well made films. You know, they're not sort of like badly made. They're like good camera work, good photography, well scripted, normally quite a good cast, but it hasn't got an audience apart from its own little niche audience, and I think this is what I call a cult classic, and this is a typical one, and it's definitely worth picking up if you get a chance. Really cool film, guys. Till my next video, please check out some other channels. Check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Man v Film, Irish Design, Pizzle World, The Maniac, Cat Watches Horror Movies, Grumpy Andrew's Haunted House. And a massive shout out to the lad. Till next time, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I see you all soon.